Hey, what's going on, guys? We are live, and today we're going to be doing a thought exercise with you. So, we want to hear from you. Make sure to throw your chat suggestions in the chat. And of course, if you absolutely want yours answered, make sure to throw a super chat on there. We always make sure to answer those super chats if we get them. But today, Ryan, Cameron, we got a tough one ahead of us. We were asked the question, can you build a good speaker for $100? If you had $100 budget, basically a shoestring budget, can you build it?
I think
Yes.
absolutely, and I think a lot of people are going to have some suggestions that make a lot of sense. I'm actually really excited for this one because I think people are going to be able to suggest woofers and tweeters that maybe we haven't thought about. And this is a great price range. Like home theater, maybe you are on a budget, you want to build 5 speakers, $500. Like it's even hard for Best Buy to beat that.
Yeah.
Yes. And when we say $100, it's very clear. We should clarify that for $100, we're talking $100 per speaker. So not for a pair, for an actual speaker, one speaker by itself. Although I do have an ace up my sleeve because later I'm going to show you an entire 2.1 system that I think you could build for $100 total.
What?
Liar.
2.1.
No, I'm not a liar.
We're gonna have to see this.
It's a Samsung soundbar.
And I think you would really like it. But before we jump there, let's go ahead and talk about what you guys came up with. I'm very, very, very curious what you came. I think some of you guys stole some of my parts too. And so let's go through when we answer this. Let's talk about why we chose those parts as well. What were you thinking about when we chose them?
Cameron should go first, but before we do, don't forget we didn't include crossover parts in this budget. The three of us agreed on that beforehand.
Or parts, because since it's a thought exercise, we can't tell you how much the crossover parts are going to cost because we didn't design them.
We're just picking drivers.
Yeah, and secondly, we also didn't pick out how much the enclosure is going to cost because that's going to be highly dependent on what materials you use and other things. So we're just looking at the raw components.
Yeah, so I went a few different ways. I had a few different things in the basket, and the more I looked, the more I kind of narrowed things down. Me too. So I went with the two-way. Keep it real simple. Crossover parts should be affordable, should be pretty straightforward. I'm using a really reliable tweeter, but I wanted deep extension too. So I had a more expensive woofer in here, and I went with an 8-inch woofer.
All right, let's see it. Come on, show us. We want to see it.
I'm rambling. Let's see it.
So ramble with the pictures.
Can you guys see that?
Woofer, did you say?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
That's got a high peak.
Oh, I've looked at this one recently.
It is, but luckily we're going to be crossing over right before this, so not a big deal. Let me go ahead and
This is doing like a full range assisted or something, aren't you?
Wait, let me guess. This is an aluminum woofer, isn't it?
It is, but we're going to be actually crossing this over really low. So I want the extension, but I don't want this woofer to have to play. It's an 8-inch woofer, so I don't want it to have to play up very high. So I don't want to compromise on directivity. So let me see if I can share the.
How much is that woofer?
The woofer is $38.98. Really good performance. Let me see. Screen share screwed up here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the tweeter. This is the. Right. You guys see that? Yeah. So this is the Dayton RST28F. This is an 1 1/8" reference series fabric dome. We are. Look at that frequency response. So we can cross over basically anywhere through this region, but with the 8-inch, I'm not sure if you guys can see that.
Yeah, we can see it.
Anyway, so we can go all the way down to 1400 hertz. So we're able to cross this over to our 8-inch woofer, and we don't have to compromise on directivity, which is really what I like about this.
And you're able to use an 8-inch woofer, which is
that's amazing. The great part about it is we're not compromising on extension. I can go down to 38 or so. I don't want to lie about what it is, but about 38 hertz or so anechoic. So we're going to get a really good in-room response with that. And again, we're not having to compromise on directivity. And we've got great sensitivity with the larger woofer too. So.
Yeah, and Brian Rawlstrom says the Hi-Vi M6N digs deep. So for those that don't know, though, both Ryan and I, we were talking about this. Actually, well, all three of us were talking about this before the show. if you're beginning and this is like your first speaker build, probably not the woofer I would choose. And if you want to know why, I just did an entire video on why you shouldn't use an aluminum woofer to begin with, at least. And that's the whole point, is to begin with. And yes, there are exceptions to every rule. So before I get killed on this broadcast,
Not again. Well, and so that's a great point.
and there's great aluminum woofers, and there are great designs using aluminum woofers. But I think we all agree, if this is your first speaker build, aluminum might not be the first woofer choice, right?
That would be a tough build, what Cameron has proposed. I think he's packed a lot of value in there. Like,
Yes.
something I'm going to say about my solution is that at that budget, extension is super important in terms of fidelity. You know, we always talk about like getting flat frequency response and everything, but I think it was Tool, pretty much in his findings, the number one thing, maybe it was number two, it was like flat frequency response and extension. They were like trading places between number one and number two. So if a speaker can dig down deep, people really like that. That's far more desirable, I guess. And so, you know, it'd be easy to piece together a nice tweeter with a 4-inch or 5-inch woofer that would fit the budget, but you're going to miss that extension.
Yeah, you'd get great linearity through the mid-range in the upper region, but you're going to sacrifice on that extension. And that was kind of where I wanted to not compromise, was the extension, because the number one expectation I think everyone's going to have with a budget speaker is it's going to lack bass most of the time, or it's going to be muddy or boomy if you've got any at all. And so I kind of wanted to surprise with that aspect. But
Unless,
yeah, go ahead.
unless you go 2.1.
We're gonna see. But you guys saw that large breakup mode. You're gonna need a third order crossover. You're gonna want to use good quality parts. So you're gonna spend a little bit more money on the crossover with something like an aluminum woofer. It's not gonna be nearly as well damped as something like a large paper cone, but that's a compromise I'm willing to work around.
Yeah, there's other things you can do to get rid of that breakup mode as well, or cut it out of the frequency response a little bit more. But we're not
Yeah.
going to talk about those today.
If
Instead, we're going
someone-
to go.
I was going to say, if someone was inclined to do that build, pair those two drivers together, and they wanted to use an active crossover, that would be an excellent solution, because you could do wicked steep crossovers at like 1,000 hertz or something. And I think both drivers would be really happy. Like, use, 48 dB crossovers or more.
Yeah, those would be perfect candidates for DSP, especially to crossover low like that.
So I think Brian Zhang uses DSP on his computer. It's really cool, actually. I was talking to him just the other day on the phone, and he uses 96 decibel.
Yeah,
It's like boom.
Yeah, that's a straight line.
It's pretty amazing. By the way, if no one's ever heard any of his speakers, he only does active DSP, and they're phenomenal. He's just such a great builder and designer. I've never heard a speaker that he has built that I have not thoroughly enjoyed.
His last DSP build last year actually won the Parts Express speaker design competition in his category. But not only that,
Open Unlimited.
Yeah.
Unlimited.
Yeah.
That's the hardest one to win.
yeah, and not only that, it didn't just win, but everyone was complimenting the design. Everyone that heard it was talking about it. So it wasn't just the judges; it was everyone
Now-
that heard it.
He did use very high-end speakers. I believe that they were SB Audience, and they were their TechStream drivers.
Yeah,
So-
that's right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they're very, very good drivers. But I want to know what Ryan has. I've been thinking about this. I think Ryan and I have some of the similar designs, but I'm curious what your first one is that you're going to show us.
Okay. Before I do, Peter says 2 times Lee Audio Crystal 4-inch in the recommended box. And actually, that's a good point. Full range drivers, I think you need to pair them with a sub. But I have actually used full range drivers a lot, and they are so great for the budget minded. You get a lot for the money, and the performance actually is there, if you ask me. But
Now,
that's
the other thing with Lee, well, I don't know about the Lee Audio. I haven't seen those. They're only $50 a pop, which is great. With a full range, you usually either get low end extension or high end extension. So it's one or the other. So you got to be careful, because you might get something like the Dayton Audio series, which does really good, the ND series, which is really good on the low and mid range, but the high end is gone. So you might want to pair it with a tweeter, for example.
Yeah, the ones I've used are typically like 4 or 5 inch diameter, and they're good down to like 100 hertz, and not great down to 100 hertz, but they'll do it, and then you can cross over to a sub at 100 or 120, and you get a lot. You get great sound.
So Brian Steele says no other rules apart from the speaker needs to cost less than $100. It's $100 per speaker. That's components only. That's not including crossover or cabinet costs. And yes, so if you have some ideas, Brian Steele is on here a lot. He always has some good ideas, so maybe he'll share some of his ideas as well.
Yeah, you
All
guys share more of your drivers with us.
Yeah, I want to see Ryan stop.
Stop procrastinating.
Yeah, stop procrastinating. Let's see.
Now let's
other
talk
rules,
about
Brian.
Brian's comment here.
Let's go to someone else's comment.
All right,
spin the
all
wheel.
right.
Go.
So I'm gonna go with, well, I'll just share. I'm gonna go with this tweeter here. Okay. Partly
Oh,
because
I love that ring radiator. That
Yeah.
Peerless. I
Partly
really
because
like the
I've used it.
BG60.
The BG60 was just a little more money. I've used that one as well. That's actually right here. I've used this double magnet version. There's this G30 as well. I don't think I've used that one, but I've had really good luck with ring radiator tweeters in general, the SB Acoustics ones and these Peerless or VIFO ones. And I've used this one on my channel, in fact, and I think you can even download my measurements and play with them. And it's very good. Look at the price, $22. So
I'm wondering what you're doing for a woofer, because you only spent, this
Okay.
shocks me, you only spent
Wait, so-
$20 on your tweeter.
Here's the deal. There's something I think we should say about this tweeter. That tweeter, when you click on the diagram, like the specifications, and you want to download like its frequency response, you want to look at it, be careful, because Peerless does, I think it's 0, like 30 and 60 degrees. So people will look at it and they'll be like, oh, the off axis looks terrible. But they don't realize that it's significantly further down in the frequency range than like if you click a Dayton, which is like 10, I don't know, 15, 30, 45, for
Yeah.
example. So
yeah, that's a good point. 60 degrees is way off axis.
Yeah.
like you're way off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna go with this woofer right here. Although I've used the little brother. I think was it the 5-inch? I have not used this particular one. But you're getting like a great plastic basket. You're getting a lot of bespoke stuff. Like, it's not just parts from China assembled together for SB Acoustics. This is a ground up design for a mere $40. And based on my experience with the little brother, it's very good for the money. Very, very good for the money, and works really well. And this could, in a larger ported enclosure, you could get away without a subwoofer, but I purposely picked these two components because I'm up to $60 and I have $100 to play with. So I'm actually saying you build this and you take your extra $40 per speaker and where are we here? You pick one of these. Can you all see that? I changed pages.
You'll have to go back to the screen share and share that specific page. That's what I was running into.
Darn
I
it.
think-
Okay. Let me see.
Well, it depends on how you share your screen, but we're not going to talk about
Okay.
that right now. We'll talk about that later.
Let me do this. Can you see these?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so 10 and 12-inch subwoofers. I just basically narrowed down the price range below $60. Actually got a little bit more there to play with if you wanted, but maybe you can pick up two of them. And I think if you build a two-way with that woofer and tweeter and take your extra $40 per speaker and build a subwoofer, you're going to get incredible extension, even better than Cameron's I would.
And a better in-room response with separate subwoofers at that price point.
Yeah, you can locate the subwoofers against a wall or whatever to take advantage of different room acoustics, but your electronics have to be able to deal with the subwoofer, which I think most people nowadays are using AVRs or whatever. They can handle a subwoofer. I'm a home theater guy mostly, so that's where I'm coming from. I've personally been working with this GR. Sorry.
I would say just do one subwoofer too, and then you go a little bit better subwoofer.
Yeah, you could add some budget to this and do one. I was thinking maybe somebody would do two of these. I'm personally working with this $55 GRS 10 SW right now.
Okay.
Not to let the
The
cat out of the bag,
HE,
but
the high
yeah,
excursion or the
yeah,
not? Okay,
this one on the right here, the $55 one. Surprised
I've
it's
used
back
that
ordered
too.
because I just ordered it.
Yeah.
I must have got their last one. But based on what I've seen so far, I'm actually pretty impressed. Not to let the cat out of the bag, but I'm pretty happy with it. So there'll be some stuff coming on that.
Cool.
So me and Tom Zarbo actually did a build with that.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yep,
I
yep,
looked
we
for
did.
I looked for information on it. I could not find anything.
So we used it in a small one and used DSP to try to help with the. I mean, one of the problems with the high excursion subwoofer is port noise, right? So to help with the port noise in the size box that we had.
Oh, I use sealed.
Well,
Ryan-
that, and honestly, we probably could have. I like that idea. I love those SB acoustics. In fact,
Oh, there you go.
How
Is that
about
the
that?
6-inch? Looks like a
that
6
is
inch.
the 6-inch. Yeah,
Yeah,
that is an SB acoustic 6-inch right there.
that's probably a nice driver. I wish I had selected something I've got direct experience with, but I just felt like this is the way to go.
It was interesting that you chose a woofer with a composite basket. That's a little unusual. Are there any advantages or disadvantages? A lot of people are going to hear a plastic basket and think that's a bad thing. Is it necessarily a bad thing, or could it be a good thing?
I think it can be bad depending on the manufacturer. The experience I've had with them from SB Acoustics is they're dead, they're quiet, they're strong. I treated the one I had like a cast iron or whatever it is, cast aluminum, whatever, basket, and I had no problems with it. I mean, it held onto screws, and yeah, it was good. It didn't flex or distort or anything.
Yeah, I've had good experience with them too. That's why I like to bring it up. You rarely see them, or sometimes the manufacturers won't mention it even. They'll show up and be a composite basket, and they're great, especially for damping. So
Yeah, and Brian Rollerson also brought up the Silver Flute
Yeah,
woofer, which a lot of people bring up. That's a really great driver. If I was doing a cheap build, that's one I would look into. There's a 5.5 inch, you have a 6.5 inch, under $40. It's a great one to pair with some tweeters that we'll be talking about as well. But I want to change the topic a little.
okay,
We've looked at. I want to go. What if we wanted to do something bigger? And what if we wanted to do something? This is gonna really be pushing it. By the way, like this would not be an easy speaker necessarily to build or design, but I think it's definitely possible. It's right around $100. It might be a tad over, but it's
oh,
close
you broke the
enough.
rules.
yeah, I knew this was coming.
Nah. I came in under budget, $40.
I came
Get
in under
real.
budget. I walked to
You
school.
You only have to build 2 extra subwoofer enclosures. I thought that was a great idea. That was sneaky. That was a good idea, though. I didn't think about separating things out.
All right. Here's what I'm going to do. Instead, I'm going to just share my window instead. Actually, I'm going to share my entire screen. No, I'm not going to do that. Share my window.
Well, you're finding that impulse response. I actually did look at the iron driver. The very first one, I don't know if you keep using it. It's that little Peerless driver. I was a part of that competition. I won Best Sound. I didn't know that was you. So, anyways, just throwing that
All
out
right.
there.
Here's what I'm thinking. These are really inexpensive 10-inch GRS professional woofers. You could go to 8-inch as well. We could skip it down to 8-inch. They're between $20 and $30 a piece, okay?
Good efficiency.
So take 2 of these. Now, 2 of these are, I think, 93 decibels. Yeah, so 93 decibels sensitivity. So anechoically, take 2 of them, run them. They go to 99 decibels sensitivity. I'm sorry. I don't want to get in trouble by Ryan. They'd be around 99 decibels sensitivity. Once again, this is not counting baffle step and everything else. So just, and then run it with something like this. I've used this before. This is the Eminence F110M. If you look at the frequency response graph, that's not in a waveguide. So once you put it in a waveguide, it actually does have a better frequency response on the high end. It looks like it cuts off faster than that, but it doesn't. There are some other options in the $35 range as well, but I would probably start with the F110M. It is a ring radiator device too, so really cool. It would be able to match the sensitivity, and then you do need a waveguide for that. And the one that I like to use is the H6512. So H6512 is $20.
Cameron, why the reaction?
I'll let Nick finish.
Okay.
Oh, because the H6512 is like the best, cheapest waveguide ever. What is this? The same? What have you built this? Is this one? Is this
I don't want to give
on
too
your-
much away, but no,
Say it.
I'm working on a pro build right now featuring that exact woofer and this exact waveguide. Not the same compression driver.
Oh, really?
But yes, and it's an ultra budget. That's the intention. Is I just built anyway. But I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
So you thought of it first.
I did. Nick was reading my mind.
So just to clarify, I've used this on numerous builds way
He
before
has.
you. So
That's actually part of the reason I really wanted to use it.
But think about this. So a $20 waveguide, a $35. So you're at $55 on the high end, and yes, it can cross over that low. And then you're looking at $50 to $60 for the woofers, for dual woofers. If you go with the 10-inch, which would be harder to implement, vented volume, you go down to like 48 hertz. And they're
Perfect for home
99
theater.
decibel sensitivity. Yeah, and they're 99 decibel sensitivity. I don't know what the 8-inch goes down to. 52. So still, it's actually about the same. I mean, so if you wanted to save a little bit of money, you could get that. Like, even for music listening, high sensitivity, I'm a big fan of it. Less
Oh, me
distortion on
too.
the drivers, less distortion on the amplifier. Everything's just easier to move, less heat build up. I mean, there's just a lot of great reasons why I would do that.
Yeah, that's
I'm right there
nice
with you.
pairing. Yeah. I thought about doing a high efficiency example here. I was worried that the components, like generally compression drivers and stuff, to get good ones cost a lot of money. So I don't have experience with these components you picked, but if they sound good, that's really impressive for the money. You'd probably
So
blow
the
us
F-
all away.
The F110M is pretty darn good. The thing that I liked about it is a lot of compression drivers could get really shouty, and this one did not. It stayed nice and clean throughout. Now, I used it a long time ago, and the only time I used it was paired with the Eminence 10-inch coaxial. So that's the only time I used it. But I liked it, and I think for that price point,
Yeah,
it's a great thing.
high efficiency are great, but the issue you run into, aside from that, and a couple of other, there are a couple of other affordable waveguides, but unless you're going exponential to get good constant directivity horns, you're going to eat up most of your budget. You know, you're looking
Yeah, it
at
gets
80 to 100.
expensive.
And,
If I
and
can,
go ahead.
I was gonna say another thing, Nick, that I'd be cautious of is with those high efficiency cheap pro drivers. I wonder if you know from direct experience if you actually can get bass response down into the 40 hertz.
Well,
We're
I
gonna
doubt
find
it's
out.
gonna be. I doubt it's gonna be like earth-shattering, bass.
Yeah.
But I think it would be
Sometimes, false advertising.
false advertising. I honestly, I have never used the GRS. I also did not model that particular one, but Parts Express is typically, when I model them, is
Yeah, they're
pretty
pretty
good. The only thing that you would really need to run into, I think, would be, I have no doubt that they'll probably go down to 48 hertz. The more question would be, when does it run out of steam as far as crossing your X max, as far as how much watts. But if you make it 99 decibels sensitive, you're probably not going to run into that either.
No.
Yeah, and even like 2 8-inch drivers, like a 60 hertz
You
tone,
and your compression. Yeah.
you're gonna get a lot of bass even out of like a couple millimeters of excursion.
Yeah, I think it could be a really cool build. I might end up hitting up Parts Express sometime and be like, hey, I think this would be a cool build. Let's try it. I mean, for $100 a speaker, if people could build 5 of those, that could be a really great system
Yeah, that'd
for
be a good
someone's
home
home theater.
Yeah, that's crazy value. Yeah, we'll find out how they measure. I'm actually interested. They model exactly as Parts Express advertised, and that's not really a big surprise. But we'll see how they measure pretty soon. So
Oh, you got some?
they actually arrived yesterday. So
Oh,
enclosures are going together soon. So
So you have the 10-inch woofer, and you have the And the horn,
waveguide.
right? Not the horn, the waveguide.
Yeah. Yeah, the tweeter or the compression driver, excuse me, is the SB Audience Bianco CD14K. I'm butchering that, CD14PK or something like that.
We talked about this. We don't like SB Audience and SB Acoustics numbering in.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. So good combo. I'm hoping to get some good things out of it. We'll see. It's kind of an experimental. The great thing about cheap parts is you buy them, the build doesn't work out. You're not out $500 in drivers with nothing to do with them. You know, the woofers are $30. So
Yeah.
if they're crap, I'll throw them in the trash.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
I'll recycle them.
That's easy. SB Acoustics SB16PF CR25. I don't know. It's like it sounds like a 5.5 inch or something. And the SB26 STCN, that's a tweeter, 26
Brian,
millimeter or something.
I don't know if you saw my thing, but that's the woofer I actually selected.
Oh, that
I didn't
is
even
the-
recognize
yeah.
the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't.
Maybe Brian
recognize-
wasn't on here, or maybe he agreed.
Oh, that's Brian Burrow. Yeah.
Yeah, Brian Burrow. Yeah, he's awesome. He comes up with a lot of great designs. Brian is always at Parts Express Speaker Design Competition. I'm excited to see him again this year. Actually, I'm excited to see everyone. I know you're going, right, Cameron?
I will be there.
And I don't know if
Ohio.
Ryan's made a decided to go or not. He hasn't
I'm not going
decided.
to be able to make that one.
So he's coming.
That's a long drive. It's a long drive. It's pretty much a long drive for anyone unless you're in the
Is that the one
Midwest.
in Ohio you were just telling us about? The
Yes.
Parts Express one?
Yeah. But it's possible that we might all have a build there. Anyway, we'll see. We're considering maybe doing a build off. So
It's a really good time. You get to talk to a lot of speaker heads, and for me, you get to hear a lot of expensive drivers that I would personally never buy, and get to hear them implemented by good speaker designers. It's a lot of fun.
hey guys, before we go on, I just want to give a big shout out to the Gift Entertainment. It's a good friend of mine, and I haven't talked to him for a while. So man, it's great to see you on here, Alan. Man, I hope that you are doing well.
Ditto.
And Brian said he'll be there. And Brian Rollerson, it's August 1st and 2nd. I want to see you there, man. That'd be great. All right. We got a bunch of questions. We're going to get to the questions in a minute. But before, I want to see at least one more build that you guys have set up. It doesn't matter who. Whoever is super excited about a build. Brian,
go
Brian,
for it.
I mean,
I just prepared one.
what? You only prepared one? For real?
Yeah, well, pretty much. I mean, I could start
I got
going
like
into other
17 of them.
I could
Same.
go into other options, but I mean,
all right,
okay, I'll throw this out.
No, it's too late. You're only got
Cameron,
one.
no. I got this, Cameron. I don't know if your budget would allow it. No, it wouldn't. But for that woofer you selected, because it's got a breakup, I would love to see somebody use this tweeter.
Let's see it.
Oh,
This is the
Let me-
Wavecore.
I've used
Okay.
that. That one is an awesome
used this?
tweet. Yes, amazing tweeter. I love that tweeter.
Yeah, if we go to the spec sheet, let me bring that up.
I do. I actually, by the way, their 6.5 inch glass fiber cone woofer as well. Really love, and those pairings together, really good. Over $100 for sure. But
Yeah. This is a little more money, but I just was looking at it and look at this. So the magic of this tweeter is it's a 30 mil tweeter, which is a little bigger than your standard 28 mil or whatever you got. And the slight horn loading, I mean, look at that FS, 400 hertz ish.
Oh wow. Yeah, you're crossing over wherever you want.
And the SPL on that, like if you're matching this to an 85 dB woofer or something, you could get so low. Anyways, I just figured I'd share that.
yeah, that is a great tweeter. I absolutely love that as well.
What just happened?
I don't know. I messed up everything.
That's great. Yeah, being able to cross over that low to a large format woofer, I love it.
It is $87 for one tweeter, though.
I saw that.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you something off air about that later.
Okay.
Maybe if we get, I'll tell you what. I forgot to say if maybe we could set a super chat goal, and then if people want to know what I know about Wavecore, later. Secret, like if $20 in super chats, I'll throw the secret out there.
Okay.
It's
gotta-
actually
It better be a good secret, man.
it is a great secret. I will tell you this, it is well worth it.
Okay.
Okay,
I got
Let me-
$20.
well then super chat it, you jerk. Okay, hey, seriously, I got an idea on a 2.1 system. No, you know what? I have a tweeter I want to throw by you guys as an idea of something that we could use. I did not necessarily design this, but anything around this. But I think we could easily get a woofer in the price range, especially if you use like a 5%. Like if you use the code TOYD, I think it still works. Maybe it's TOYD5. Look in my description of the video. You get 5% off. I believe it still works. Look at this. This is the GRS RT 1.8-8. It's $65. That means that we would use like a $30 to $35 woofer. So maybe one of those SB acoustics or silver flutes. You know, the smaller ones, the 5.5-inch ones or so.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you its response
Yeah, let's see it.
because I think its response is pretty darn good. I think you will maybe want a notch filter depending on it. I have never used this, by the way. This is just something that interests me, and I think that you could make one pretty cheaply with it. Now keep in mind it goes up to 40 kilohertz. So let me zoom in on the response on this. It does say up to 2500 kilohertz, and that's about maximum where you're going to cross over. The black is on axis, so it does kind of go up in the middle, so you might need a notch filter or something to bring down the high end. You might even be able to deal with that with just a simple L pad. It's going to be hard to say till you get it in.
I bet you that would clean up.
It seems like, yeah. It seems like you
But
could
it
roll
looks,
all-
I mean, it looks like up to 20 kilohertz. I mean, look at even the blue's 45 degrees off axis. Besides right here, you know, it's got pretty decent phase agreement. I'm actually pretty
You gotta
interested
cross
in
so high
that.
though.
Yeah, well,
Well, yeah, but in the $100 range, you have to, you're gonna be stuck with like a 6.5 and 5.5 inch, probably 5-inch woofer anyway.
Yeah. What's
This
You're
is-
gonna have to.
this is going to be an audio file speaker. This is going to be all about the mid bass up to the mid range. That's what this. That's what I think this ribbon would bring for you.
I think if you tied that in with something like that glass fiber tweeter, that 6.5-inch glass fiber by
Wavecore.
Wavecore, yeah, that would be an amazing. I think that would be an amazing speaker. I really do. But that would be over the $100 range. But I do think you could probably get a good $35, $40 woofer, add that to it. I think that's an interesting idea. What do you guys think about that idea of that tweeter?
I like it. Have either of you guys heard ribbons? This is a real ribbon tweeters. Have you guys used ribbons?
Yeah.
Loosen them lips. We got $10 more to go, Brian.
Oh,
I'll
10
loosen those
bucks.
lips. $10 super chat.
Thank
$10
you.
more dollars. I will loosen my lips. And for a lot of people, it's gonna be well worth it.
I used some Russian.
I'll share it with
tweeters.
Brian no matter what later.
I used some
Go ahead.
Russian ribbons. I forget what they were, and I've also used the FoundTech ribbons.
Mm.
The Russian ones were like GRT something. There's a guy R Carpenter. He's been on here before. He's on the Tech Talk forums. They were amazing ribbon tweeters. They were also an incredible price,
Yeah.
like $300 each or something.
Wow.
The
Well, the
FoundTech
FunTech
were
are that
good.
expensive too, right? They're somewhere up there, right?
They were about 100, 150. I
Okay,
can't remember.
that's not
They were
bad.
good. I like ribbons. I think ribbons sound really good. I just think they have a huge limitation in terms of bandwidth.
Yeah.
Yeah. And vertical off axes.
Yeah, that doesn't even bother me so much, but it is a problem.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, those are limitations of those drivers.
Yeah, if
in
you want to
general.
cross over lower, then you typically need a taller taller ribbon to get the SD, and the taller it is, the more vertical axis problems you have. So
before I went into speaker designing, before I did this, I was actually a counselor, and I would really, read into people's words. And right now we're seeing jealousy from Ryan about not being able to come up with that tweeter. He's like, for crying out loud, I wish I came up with that tweeter. So now I'm just gonna bash it.
No, I'm not bashing it. Jeez, I'm like such a negative Nancy. I apologize.
No, I'm joking with you. All right.
I just think I would spend my money on a dome tweeter at that price range, unless you're really. I don't know.
$65. I mean, $65 is not that much on a tweeter.
I like it.
Which is what scares me, because you're getting a ribbon for $65. So I really wonder how it's going to perform. I'd be leery, but if someone.
All right, Parts Express, if you're listening, send Ryan that GRS tweeter. He'll test him. And then
I will tell you.
He will tell you. And I have a feel. I really do have a feeling, because I've looked at a lot of their ribbons, and that's by far the best. What I look at as far as frequency response, it would take the least amount of crossover components to get like a good response. They have a lot. GRS just came out with that line, I don't know, maybe a year ago. And they have a lot of them, but a lot of them, the frequency response, I mean, DSP might be the best way to work with them.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you, Impulse Response ViaWaves. I'm pretty sure that's what they were called. ViaWave GRT. Yeah, 145s or something like that. Yeah.
Morel clones.
So I don't know how you get them anymore. Maybe you have to order them from Russia.
Oops, sorry, said. Thank you, Impulse Honest, for your honest sounding talk. It's just
nice
honest
way to put
sounding. It sounds honest. All right. Cameron, you said you had some more.
I did not. Well, I don't have any prepared. I went through a lot. I went through like 3 iterations of this, and I didn't save any of them until I was ready to screenshot.
We said we were doing a whole show on this. We're only 36 minutes in, and you guys don't have it. All right, you know what? While you guys look for some, you guys look for some. I'm going to show you one that I thought Ryan was going to share.
Oh.
So since he didn't share, I'm going to share it. All right, and this is under budget. You could even add a woofer to this if you really wanted to. You guys ready?
Let's see it.
The SB Acoustic 6-inch coaxial.
I thought about this. I did, because I kind of want to do it in my own house.
$70.
Yeah.
$70, and it's going to give you everything except your deep low end, right? So that's the only thing it's not going to give you.
Yeah.
But it'll give you your high end. It'll give you, you just cross over.
If you bought a sub, this would be great.
Absolutely. Or you could even add a $30, $40. I mean, you had those $40 subwoofers you were looking at.
Yeah.
You could add that to it. And the truth of the matter is, though, I think, honestly, if I was going to build this, I would want a little nicer. Like, if I was going to go 3-way, I'd want a nicer woofer. Yeah. Something a little bit more higher end that would go a little lower.
Depends where you cross
something maybe
it.
the 30 hertz. Yeah, it says supposedly it'll go F3 to 56 hertz, though. So for a lot of people, you may not even need it. I haven't looked at it.
I just don't like the idea of really pushing a coaxial woofer hard.
Yeah,
I'm not even so worried about intermodulation, although that is a problem. It's just, to me, the cone and everything, it's not like built for that rugged smashing,
Well, and technically the cone is acting as the wave guide.
Exactly.
Well. So
yeah.
The more it's moving, the more it's
that intermodulation. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I do understand that, and it would be kind of cool to kind of split that up with, say, maybe a 10 or 12-inch woofer underneath.
Yeah, like actively crossed at 120 hertz or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe, or you could even make it more like a definitive technology speaker where it has, like the active powered subwoofer underneath.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, obviously it would still have an active crossover, but you know what I'm saying.
All right.
Yeah.
Few moments. I'm pulling up my my first attempt at this, so I'll have some stuff for you in just a second.
So, Brian, even if we don't get the extra $10, I will share that with you at the end of the show. I'll share my secret. I mean, it's not a secret. Brian Burrow knows the secret. He's on here. Hopefully he doesn't just throw it out there. Oh, he's got an idea. The GRS 1TD1-8 is incredible for $7, but it falls off a cliff at 14 kilohertz. But it does
$7.
far
I gotta
better than
I gotta
advertised.
Google this.
Yeah, what are we looking at?
1T1. Yeah, it'd be interesting to do this like with a $40 budget. Hey, like I wonder.
I have one. I have one in the $40 budget.
Oh, great.
What is this? Oh, great. No, I'm going to share it now.
Okay, let's see it.
I'm gonna
40
share
bucks,
my-
a speaker for 40 bucks.
Yes. Near field monitor.
That's fair.
So,
That's a
okay,
speaker.
fine.
That's a speaker.
Well, we didn't say that had to be far field, did we?
Yeah,
No.
go for it.
All right. So use this little tweeter. This is a rear mount tweeter. I've used it plenty of times. It's perfect for 1/2 inch material. If you go any bigger than 1/2 inch, you'll have to recess this out a 1/4 inch to go in there, but it's designed for 1/2 inch material. Okay.
This is a good tweeter, yeah. I've
Yeah,
used it.
it's a great tweeter for $13. And then I would include it, and I've actually built this before, so I know it sounds really good. With this Dayton, it's a PC83-4. It's just a little 3-inch full range driver. Does not get low end extension, but it goes up high enough to cross over with that little 3/4 inch woofer. And because you have a full range driver and you got that 3/4 inch woofer, 3/4 inch tweeter going, you get really great off axis dispersion, especially for a near field monitor. It can really suck you in. You're looking at $30
Nice.
for the speakers. And then, since you still have the money, now think about this. That's only $60 total if you built 2 of them, right? You could add one of those woofers you were looking at before
Yeah, those
for
subs.
$40. Subwoofers. And then you got, what is that? GRS 10 SW-4?
Yeah, that's right. The HE.
Yeah, and that was what, $40?
Those ones are 55.
Oh,
for the
50?
HE.
Okay, fine. Then get the GRS 12 SW-4.
Yeah.
And you're still under $100 for everything.
Yeah. Except for an
And if you-
amplifier to power that.
Oh
Like
my
the sub-
gosh. Did you include
Yeah, no,
an
no,
amplifier
this
in any
is
of your
sub-
builds?
Well, for a subwoofer, you got to think of
But-
power for subwoofer.
Okay, but did you include it in your build?
No, you got me there. I did include a subwoofer, but not the power. Yeah.
So just saying. I mean, you could get away with a cheap 2.1 amplifier for that. You know what I would use actually? I would use the Aurylic 2.1. I don't know how much that amplifier is. Just a DIY board because it's cheaper. It's like probably $100.
It's under $100 or so.
And it has DSP app built into it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have DSP in there. You can DSP your subwoofer. You can DSP your speakers. You can't DSP the crossover points. You'd still have to have a physical because it's only 2.1 outputs. But you could implement that, and then also I think it has a separate subwoofer tone control. So, Bass That Hurts gave the
Yeah.
extra $10. Oh,
You gotta put the comments on the screen for people too, and then we also gotta answer Beefy's
okay.
question after you tell us.
That's a good question.
Yeah, and see what we all
Alright.
think of that. But tell us the Wavecore thing because finally
Alright.
people coughed up.
let me show you.
Thank you, by the way, everybody.
Yeah, thank
We
you.
really appreciate that.
Oh, gosh, I'm probably gonna get in trouble for this. I'm gonna
You
tell you
agreed to
anyway.
it. They paid.
I did. But I'm going to get in trouble. But I'm going to show you anyway. All right. Let me pull up the screen.
I hope it's good and not bad. I've never used
Oh, no.
Wavecore, and I got.
It's really good. You're going to... Some people are going to like... Now, for some people, it's not going to mean as much. All right. So the 6.5 inch Wavecore woofer is like one of the ones that I love. It's $77. However, if you can be a business, you get a business discount on Wavecore from Parts Express. This $77 woofer is $30.
Wow, that's quite a discount.
It's crazy. It might even be a little lower than that, but right in the $30 range. So if you know someone that can, buy directly from Parts Express, or if you could sign up, like if you're starting to sell your own speakers, go build something with that Wavecore. And you could easily be in the $100 range if you had that business discount too. And by the way, it's not that hard to get that discount. Like, it's really not.
Yeah,
I had
that's
it.
crazy.
I had
Yeah,
it for another company, and yeah, you just basically got to show them. It wasn't for Parts Express, so it's a different set of rules, but just got to
it's
show them you're
this.
working on stuff actively.
Yeah, most people here could probably get it.
That's 50% off.
It's more.
More,
Yeah, it's more.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
like 65, I think, or so.
No
I
wonder
can't
you love
remember.
it so much. If you're paying $77, would you like it?
No, actually, they sent me those for free.
Time to start peasant
Peasant
audio.
Already taken.
So they sent me those for free, and I used them, and I loved them so much. And then I told Brian Burrow about them. And I was like, hey, Brian, you should build with these. And then I saw the price that they were $77. I was like, maybe not. And he's like, oh, actually, with the discount, I get them for... And I was like, wait, what? And then I double-checked it. I was like, oh, yes, you're right. So
That's a big value.
It's a huge value. And that's like almost all the Wave Course. Like, there's a lot of great deals on them, Dayton Audio, and everything else. So,
If you're building a lot of speakers, it'd be worth it.
If you're building 5 of them, it'd be worth it.
Yeah,
but that same woofer,
So I've got my.
I think. Hold on one second.
Go for it.
I mean, if you had the discount, you could use that glass fiber woofer with that GRS tweeter, which is also going to be discounted. I don't know how much. Be discounted, and you'd be under $100, and that would be a really sweet speaker, I think.
Yeah.
If it's a good ribbon.
If it's what?
If it's a good ribbon.
I can't.
Oh yeah, he said good ribbon.
I
Can't hear me?
either of you. No, I can't hear you.
Oh, you're messing with me.
You said, oh. You said, oh.
I was worried my headset wasn't working good again.
You said, oh, I'm sorry. No, I heard you guys. I'm just kidding.
We had a couple questions. Ryan, did you want to answer one of those? We had Beefy ask a good question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Beefy asked a question that I would like to address. So
let me find it. All right, go ahead.
How can it be too big or too powerful? Well, basically, my advice would be, how high is your ceiling? And then take away 6 inches from top and bottom to allow for space for the enclosure. So my ceiling is 8 feet high, so a 7-foot diameter subwoofer would be acceptable. That's my funny way of saying there is, no there is no too big.
In case you didn't catch that.
It cannot be too big. Build it as big as you can, as many as you can. Generally, as the frequency goes down, the harder it is to reproduce the sound. And you're going to need a lot of, SD and VD.
So here's the deal. I would say those subwoofers, I just did a video on that. You're looking at about 4 cubic feet. It's not that big. I mean, 4 to 5 cubic feet, depending on how you want to do it. It's really not that big. It's a lot smaller than you would think.
Yeah, I just built one. I'm working on the video right now, and it's 5.5 cubic feet after I take away bracing and the volume of the driver. I think gross it was like 6.1 cubic feet.
How much is the 18-inch Ultimax, by the way?
$340.
Yeah, that is a good price.
Yeah, like, not to spoil the video, but I'm pretty impressed, and it's a great subwoofer. And I did all of the enclosure with 1 sheet of plywood, and it's 5.5 cubic feet, and you get a perfect 12 dB per octave slope. It's a sealed enclosure.
Which is interesting because I said in my video on the Ultimax that I would do like probably a 5.5 cubic feet subwoofer because technically you can get away with a 3 cubic foot or 4 cubic foot box, but the bigger would be a little bit better. So that's cool that you did
just
that.
a little more, gives it a little more breathing room. Yeah.
So I'm going to give another idea, Beefy. If you're in the $350 range, this might be a little bit more than you want to spend. But look at the 21-inch SB acoustic that SB acoustic that I use. I built dual 21-inch sealed boxes. They're not that much bigger than the 18s. They're 6 cubic foot total, internal. 8 cubic foot on the outside, so 2 by 2 by 2. Pretty small box, 24 by 24 by 24. That's a small box, really, for a 21-inch subwoofer. With DSP, assuming, the room gain ends right around 30, 35 hertz, you can get single digits out of those things. Like, absolutely. You can go down to 10 hertz or whatnot and you got the bigger displacement of the 21-inch subwoofer. So it's a little bit more. I don't remember the exact price of those, but they're not that bad. And I used the non-Neo version, which was actually better for the design that I used. A lot of people ask that. Why didn't you go with the more expensive one? And that is kind of what part of this is about. Just because it's more expensive doesn't mean it's better for what you're using it for.
True.
The
Very true.
if it's the one I'm looking at, it's almost $500. So that's quite a bit more money if I'm looking at the right one.
The Ferrite or the Neo?
I think it's Ferrite. The picture looks Ferrite.
Yeah, it looks, if it looks ferrite, then it's ferrite. It's a Rosso, I think.
Yeah,
Rosso 21 SW 800, 478.
Okay, I'm looking at a slightly different one.
It's the SW 800, but still at $478 for a 21-inch. That's a lot. I mean, that's not a lot.
It's going to be well worth it. That's for sure. If you've got the budget, it's definitely worth it.
What's the excursion on that one? Oh, I'm pulling it up right now.
I don't know. I don't keep track of every single TS spec, unlike what most people
Well, I
think.
just want to give him the best advice.
Well, I'm giving him the best advice.
Doesn't list it. Oh,
14.
there we go. Well, okay, it's got 11 millimeters of X max, but 35 millimeters of X limit.
Yeah.
DSP's
So-
in the question for sure.
Oh, hey, look at this. I actually did not know this, by the way. Let me share this. That's kind of funny. I literally just pulled this up. I did not know this. So this is Matty Sound's website, and it shows it 478. And then right here it says Watch Toys DIY Audio Earthquake 21.
That's you.
Oh, that's me.
Oh, cool.
Hey, look at that. Sealed box of 6 cubic feet. It's, all right,
Dang.
great. Yeah, it's a great little, it's a lot better than I thought. And one of the things that I noticed about it is it's clean bass. It's not that crazy.
I love 21 and 24-inch subwoofers. I've built a couple. They're amazing. Like they just hit on another level. But they do get a little big. They do.
Yeah, Celestion is. We've been talking since the big high efficiency build, and they've got a pre-production 24-inch subwoofer, pro subwoofer, that they're sending me. And the word on the street is it will do negative hertz. I'm not sure if that's been verified yet.
What would that be? Okay.
I'm joking. It's going to go low though, and we're going to find out. Nick's like, we're going to find out exactly how low it'll go.
I'm like, they're also sending me one, and that's the first ever. But no, that thing is supposed to be able to get like more power than we're going to be able to give it. Of course, it's designed for pro audio. So,
right.
All right, I'm going to throw another idea out there, and I want to get your guys' opinion on a build like this. This is not one that I even considered, but while we're sharing it, and I think it would be hard to get a perfect build out of it for sure. But what if you did something like this? A 12-inch pro coaxial for about $60. And then you have to pick your compression driver. So it can't be just any compression driver because you're going to have to cross over by, 1200 hertz or so. But if you're using it in home theater or for home audio, you can get away with a lot more than what you would have to do for pro audio.
Yeah.
What I don't like is when you take away a dust cap and you got that big diameter woofer.
Yeah.
The breakup. I mean, I'm probably talking snake oil here. Like I don't have an objective reason to dislike that. It just bothers me.
So, for those that don't know, and some people might know this, the way that this works is underneath this dust cap down there, there's just this very small little wave guide, and it's circular, it's conical, and it's very small, and it's small enough so it obviously doesn't hit, the woofer when it's moving up and down. So you do have limited off-axis as well. It's weird. One of the things that I always wondered, and maybe you can answer this, there are some companies that do this, but not a lot. I always wondered why they don't do like a lot of the non-pro manufacturers do and actually just keep it right there in the center, where they can time align it and everything else a lot better. So
Well, if you're
get
using a
rid of the
compression
dust cap.
driver.
Yeah, well, yeah, but the compression driver would be built in.
Yeah. I mean, everything physically gets tricky with the coaxial. Like the voice coil has to go somewhere. Everything has to fit.
I think I'm speaking out of what, but that when tweeters and woofers share the same motor structure, that complicates a lot of things. I don't know with how big of a motor structure a compression driver has, if they could cram it and allow it to share that same space as the woofer's big
Yeah,
motor.
like especially if you're trying to match a 12 or base at Hertz saying he has 15s. If you're trying to match a 15-inch woofer, I'm going to want a compression driver that's at least 1.4-inch diameter.
Right.
I like that anyways.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are some 1-inch compression drivers, but they have limitations on the low end. Even a 2-inch diaphragm with a 1-inch exit, I mean, that might even be suitable for a 15-inch coaxial.
I think the one thing that we're getting at, though, is that there's a lot of different options. Like, you're not, even though it's $100 limited budget, and we saw things up
There
to
are a
an
lot of options.
We've got an MTM design, right, that could be up to 99 decibel sensitivity. Like, that's a pretty cool idea. We got a bunch of desktop options. We got small little speakers, coaxial options. I mean, there's a lot of really good options in the $100 per speaker range. And if you're willing to do the hack that we talked about, Parts Express is going to get so mad. They're going to be like,
"You're in trouble, man.
Why do we have 1,000 new business
Speaker industry's booming."
Yeah, I mean, when you think about that, like you could do a lot with $100, and I think that comes back to the fact that when you look at commercial speakers, I mean, remember most of these commercial drivers, like if they're selling speakers for $100, $200, $500, they're not paying much for the drivers.
Yeah, we see day after day new releases of speakers that are $2,000 to almost $4,000, sometimes $5,000 a pair, and we can look at the parts and we know they're a couple $100 in parts. I mean, really. And so with $100 budget, if you're capable of crossover design, you can really get some value out of it. If you're looking at spending $3,000 on a pair of speakers, so. I
got people really mad because I took the Bonicky W5, which when they first came out used the Tangband W5 subwoofer. They used a Foontech 83 driver, I think it was, and some other tweeters on the back. The total price of that in like parts for like a DIY was like $100 and some, and they sold them for like $10,000 or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then everyone's like, well, some of it has to do with the enclosure. I'm like, I'm not saying it's not. I'm trying to get to you like, this is where the disconnect is between price. Like if you're willing to put the time and effort into designing and building something, you can get something significantly a better value.
Yeah, someone here says their MS or home speakers drivers may account for 2 to 4%. I know some companies spend more than that, but that's not off for some. That's certainly true in some cases.
Can I hit a few comments here real quick?
Yeah, but before you do that, there's one that I wanted to let Cameron answer real quick. Well, anyway, I can't find it now. Oh, I think I pinned it. Cameron, answer this. He said, whoa, another live stream?
We are live right now as we speak.
And when do we go live?
And Mr. Jason, we're glad to have you.
And we go live every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday at 7 Central. Yes.
All three of us.
On all three channels.
So just real quickly, Schadenfreude said, if that's how you say your name, said SB Acoustics represents awesome value. I totally agree. They represent incredible value, which is why their woofer was part of my build. True Voice of Reason says something about the Mark Audio. I think I brought that up at the very beginning of the stream. Full range drivers, I've used the Mark Audio before. They are a very nice driver. If somebody isn't into using crossovers, I've done it without a crossover or any filtering at all. Just pop them in a box. If you're a good woodworker, you can get some great sound and value out of that driver. So yes, great example. That might have been it, or I lost one or two there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like this. Check some high-end home hi-fi speakers. Their total driver costs about 2 to 4% of their MSRP. Probably true. And then the other question, I like this too. This is why we didn't include costs of materials, because we don't want to have to include the cost of audiophile wood for our
Audiophile.
Yeah,
cabinets.
audiophile wood is hard to come by these days. The tariffs
It's an
are killing
endangered
us.
species.
The tariffs are going up. It's marked up like crazy, guys.
Yeah, it's true though. You got to wonder what you're paying for with some of those. And
Yeah.
then,
All
you
right.
know, on the other end of the spectrum, you walk into Best Buy and you look at some speaker by Polk Audio and they're like $79.99 on sale for $59.99, and you're like, how do they make money on this? I mean, I know it's cheap guts and speakers and everything, but I don't know.
Very cheap labor,
I honestly
unfortunately.
think that if you bought that speaker and you just built a new cabinet, it'd probably sound significantly better.
Oh yeah, they cheap out. But I
Oh, yeah.
mean, they're delivering, like, it's in a box. Best Buy's making their money on it. Like, how are they delivering it for that price? I sometimes wonder, but
I wondered the same thing. I don't want to. I know we're near the end of the show here, but a while back I had an idea when Cameron had more money, and I splurged on this $50 set of Amazon speakers from the Pile Company, notoriously bad company. I wanted to see what they'd do.
They are a
I wanted to
pile.
see how bad they were, and I measured the drivers, and there's actually a lot of potential there. It never panned out into a video because I wasn't sure what direction to go with it. But yeah, the enclosure is by far the worst part. So drivers, potential. So
yeah. Well, should we wrap it up?
We are. I want to answer this though. I think this has some merit, especially in the value that we're talking about. What do you guys think about using a DSP crossover instead of circuit components? Here's the deal. Well, you know what? What do you guys think?
At this
about using
price
DSP,
range?
Well, just in general.
Oh, great.
yeah.
Great. Yeah.
I'll tell you, if my goal at being on YouTube wasn't to design speakers that someone else could build and offer value in that way, if I were just building my own speakers, I would probably go active every time. Just for the flexibility.
Brian missed
Yeah.
my. I'll tell you. I'll repeat my 2.1 design in a minute. But Brian knows about it. Brian, I did the 2.1 design. It was basically the one that you built a while ago with the little PC83-4s and the little Dayton ND tweeter. I designed those a long time ago. I need to rebuild them again because some of the crossover components and the crossover that I did has changed a little. So, but great little design. As far as the DSP, absolutely. I don't think there's anything wrong with going DSP over circuit components. One of the things that some people will tell you in general is that if you're going to do that, still put a capacitor on your tweeter to protect it. Also to protect it even from turn on pop, which we've mentioned before. The one thing I would say is make sure that you're using depending on what you want to do, make sure you're using a good DSP unit. Not all DSPs are the same, and we'll have to maybe hit on that later. But if you're looking at those little chip amp DSPs, they are definitely cheap for a reason. That you are going to be limited on how much DSP you can do, and depending on what you're trying to do, that may not be an issue.
Well said.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So at the end of the show, I always let you guys say what's coming up on your channel. Ryan, I'm going to let you go first because I'm excited. I think you have something cool coming up on your channel.
Well, yeah, I kind of already let it out of the bag, but basically I got a subwoofer video coming out. It would be done. The sub is done, and I've been listening to it. I'm having a great time. But through my move, I have all new testing gear, all new computer, all new editing software for video. Everything's new, and I'm running into all these technical issues that are easily sorted out, but it's just really slowing me down. It's taking probably 10 times longer to edit a video and get everything right than it normally does. I had to redo all my measurements, and yeah, so anyways, just give me some patience on that, but otherwise I'm set to release that soon.
I think everyone's excited to see that. I know I am. Nick, what about you? You going last?
Well, you know what? I want a question for everyone before. You know what? We went over all of these, and one of the things we didn't even answer is which one out of all the different designs that we talked about, which one is the most interesting out of all of them, do you think?
Who are you pointing at,
Out of
Cameron?
all you guys,
Oh,
all the 100. Oh, you think yours? Well, no, you can say that. Why? I'm curious.
I like the extension. I mean, obviously, there's going to be
Yeah.
difficulty with crossovers, but I like the idea of a big 8-inch woofer. I know Brian Burrow, if he's still watching, he agrees with me. I think he's on my team, hopefully.
I was actually going to say that if I can use DSP, Cameron's interests me a lot because I feel like I kind of cheated with the subwoofer thing. And if I can use DSP, I would love to do some super steep crossover at like 900 or 1,000 hertz and see what that
Yeah.
sounds like. At like a true two-way in a tower with a port and everything, because I know that woofer can make some serious bass, so it does interest me a lot.
I'm still interested in that MTM. I'm very curious what that would come out like, especially in that price range. I'm very curious because if it did come out well, like that would be an amazing value.
Yeah.
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 It's a risk.
But well, there's risk in every one of the builds that
I
we
know.
showed,
Yeah.
except for maybe the SB acoustic.
Mine
Coaxial.
would work. Mine would work. I know mine would work. It's an SB woofer with a VIFA tweeter and a subwoofer. I mean,
Yeah, well, the SB acoustic would work too. I mean, most of ours would work, but I think the ones that that get us the most peaked are the ones that
are different.
are the ones that are the hardest to implement.
Yeah.
And that also shows that like some of this, which once again goes back to my last video, which by the way, you guys should watch. Everyone on this channel should watch, which is why you shouldn't use aluminum cone woofers. And I did not say don't use aluminum cone woofers. So there's a difference between why you shouldn't and don't. I might have said you shouldn't, but which I still stand behind if you don't understand the complexities of using it. At least not to begin with. Once you get more and more,
It's a good video,
Backflips.
especially if you're thinking about if you're in the driver selection process and you're a little bit new at this. It's a good video, good education.
I think so. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention was I don't have anything coming up on my channel. No, actually, I have this.
I was waiting for it.
I have this amazing video coming out in the next couple days. If you're interested at all in home theater like I am, I have a $3,000 projector, which is probably the best project. No, it's not. Yeah, it's one of two. There's two. It's definitely in the top two best projectors I've ever seen at that price point, and it has so much that it offers. It's pretty incredible. I actually am very, very impressed with it. So if you're interested in that, even if you're not, the technology that's going in these newer projectors at this what most people would consider a budget projector price range is incredible. It really is. I also am doing some more work on some other projects. I don't want to say what I'm going to get out for sure because I don't know. But I'm going to get more videos out like that aluminum cone woofer video. So more of these teaching style videos. I'm going to start getting more of those out. So there will definitely be one of those out by next week as well.
Cool. Firecloud, I love that idea. Horn tweeters are hard to come by. There's not a ton of selection in that, but a lot of compression drivers could use the help. But that's something that I have interest in doing in the future for sure.
I don't know if it made it onto my channel, but I did do what is it called? Iwata 300 horn with two 15-inch JBL 2226 woofers, beryllium compression driver, 2-inch exit. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
pretty
you
amazing.
need to have something like a Beryllium or Techstream type.
Yeah.
Probably. Hey, check this out. If you go with a 1.4 inch exit, this is an RCF horn. They have a couple different sizes of these. These horns are good down to 500 hertz. So if you're going to be doing something with an 18 inch that you don't want a three-way, you want to go more like a two-way, 18 or maybe 15, something like this could work if you have the right driver.
Yeah.
You know,
Nice
like a compression coaxial.
Compression coaxial.
Or maybe something like a Techstream that, it depends on what you're using it for, obviously. PA versus home theater, whatever.
Well, coming up on DIY Hi-Fi, I'm working on a high efficiency, really budget build. We'll see how it goes. I don't want to promise a video is coming out anytime soon. If the crossover design stage goes well, it could be out in a couple weeks, but we'll see. I'm really excited about the potential that's there, but it's going to take some critical listening before I release any kind of video about it. So that's what I got coming up. There he is.
Yeah, and I also don't care about subwoofers being aluminum.
Not a big deal there. Not in that region.
All right, guys. Let's see what this question is before we leave. Might be a new question, but I haven't seen it answered. Why ribbon over silk? You know what? That's going to be one for a different day, because that one we could spend a long time on.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Thanks.